Hey friends, welcome back to another What's for Breakfast. I have 4 different breakfast recipes to share with you today. I've honestly had this video, like all of the footage from it, for quite a few weeks now. Like the last breakfast in this, I made like 2 weeks ago. And I just have been in a funk where I do not want to spend the time editing videos, like sitting at the computer editing. I want to play video games. I want to spend time with Andy. I want to spend time with the kids. Like homeschool takes up so much time, and like I have a commitment to like what's for dinner, so I feel like I have to get that done every Sunday, and I really like editing those. And then like grocery hauls are like a quick and easy thing for me to edit. It takes me like 10 minutes, so I have no problem editing those. But like anything else lately, it's just been a struggle. So I'm trying to push myself, get back into it. I do enjoy like filming the videos and sharing all the stuff with you. Just sometimes I get in a funk. But enough about that. I have 4 breakfasts to share with you, all of which were pretty good. Some of them not my favorite, but we'll get into that when I talk about those specific recipes. All of the recipes will be linked in the description box down below. First up, we have sweet potato pancakes. This would be great to make with like leftover sweet potato if you have it, but I bought sweet potatoes with the intention of just making this recipe. So I made them in the Instant Pot. I just took my 3 sweet potatoes and scrubbed them and then pricked them with a fork a couple of times. And then I put a cup of water in the bottom of my Instant Pot, and then I put my sweet potatoes on the little like rack, the little trivet that goes in the Instant Pot, and then put the lid on this and cooked them on manual high pressure for 35 minutes. The time that you're going to cook them is really going to depend on the thickness of your sweet potatoes. If yours are like really big ones, it could take up to an hour, but you could cut them up to use them for this recipe since we're just going to be mashing them up anyway. And after they cook for that 30 minutes to an hour, depending on how thick your sweet potatoes are, then you're going to want to let them naturally release for 10 minutes. And then I just went in, made sure that they were fork tender and I could stick a fork all the way through them. And then I removed them from the Instant Pot, and the skins just like peeled away so easily. And then I was able to put the actual sweet potato in a dish and mash it up with a fork. And since I wasn't making the pancakes yet, I was actually going to make them in the morning. I went ahead and prepped my sweet potato the night before, so I wouldn't have to do all of this in the morning. So I just put them in some Tupperware and stuck them in the fridge. And then in the morning, I measured them out because the recipe that I'm using calls for 1 cup of sweet potato, but I ended up having 3 cups of sweet potato. So I just used all of it and made a bunch of pancakes, and then we could eat on them for a couple of days. So for 1 cup of sweet potato, you're going to do 2 eggs, a pinch of salt, and then some cinnamon if you want it. And so I tripled that since I had so much sweet potato. And then I just kind of like whisked it together, but it wasn't really like mixing together as well as I wanted it to. So then I just took my potato masher and got it to the consistency that I wanted. Now, cooking these up took a little bit of trial and error. I have a nonstick skillet here that I have heated up over like a medium-high heat, and I sprayed it with a little bit of olive oil cooking spray. The first batch I didn't use that, and they kind of stuck a little bit. I was having a little bit of difficulty, but in the end, I got it to work out just fine. So you're going to take about 1/4 cup of your sweet potato mixture and put it on your skillet and kind of spread it out a little bit. If you don't spread it out yourself, it's just not going to spread, and you don't want them to be thick or they will fall apart. And then you're going to cook them for like 3 to 4 minutes. The recipe said 3, but I found like 4 was usually the best. And they flipped easiest when you did them for about 4 minutes and you had them like nice and thin. You're going to want like a thin spatula, and they turn out good when you do that. But it definitely did take some trial and error. I was getting really frustrated at first because I was making them too thick and they weren't wanting to flip over and they were just falling apart. But they did end up turning out really well. So I thought these were delicious, and Lily liked them. Elijah did not care for them, and Andy would not even try them. But that's kind of what I expected. They're sweet potatoes, and Andy and Elijah usually don't like them anyway. So they were good. They were fun to try, but I don't know that I will make them again just because I would only be making it for 2 of us. I served them with a little bit of maple syrup and butter, and I think if you like sweet potatoes a lot like I do, that you would really like this recipe, and it'd be worth it to make it if your whole family likes sweet potatoes. Next up, we have this oatmeal blueberry bread. So in a big mixing bowl, I am mixing together 1 cup of flour, 1 cup of old-fashioned oats, a teaspoon of baking powder, a teaspoon of baking soda, 1/4 a teaspoon of salt, and about a tablespoon of cinnamon. I did not measure the cinnamon. I never measure cinnamon. I like a lot of cinnamon, so I might have done a little bit more than a tablespoon. But I just mix that all together, and then in a separate bowl, or I'm using my really large measuring cup, I'm gonna combine the wet ingredients, and that's gonna be 2 eggs, a cup of milk, and then also 3/4 of a cup of sugar, and just mix that together really well. And then I'm going to combine the wet with the dry and mix it all together until it's fully incorporated. And then I'm going to take my blueberries. I did about a cup of blueberries and just fold those into the mixture. And then I've got a loaf pan here. I'm going to grease it with some olive oil cooking spray and then add my bread mixture into it. And then this is going to bake in the oven at 350 degrees for about 40 minutes. The recipe said 35 to 40. For me, it did take right at 40 minutes. And then I just let it cool completely before removing it from the pan. And then once it was cooled, you could slice it up. We served this with breakfast instead of having toast. You could do this and some yogurt. We also did it as snack. Kids really liked it as snack. It was delicious and really filling because it's got those oats in there. It was just really good. Next up, we have some egg bites. These are supposed to be copycat Starbucks egg bites. Now, their egg bites, I believe, are sous vide, so they're steamed. These ones are going to be made in the oven. Now, to be honest, I have never had Starbucks egg bites. I have only been to Starbucks through the drive-thru and at Target less than a handful of times. I've never been in an actual Starbucks. I honestly am overwhelmed by menus at places, especially Starbucks. I don't know what to order. At Dunkin', I only order through the app, and I know I could do the same thing with Starbucks, but I'm also whoa, that's expensive, and Dunkin' is a little bit less expensive, so I just choose Dunkin'. But these really intrigued me, and I wanted to try them, but to be honest, they're not my favorite. I think they were good, but not my favorite. I will be sharing my favorite egg bite recipe in the next What's for Breakfast video because they are our favorite. Andy likes them. I like them. These ones I did not think he would like, so he didn't even try them. These have cottage cheese in them, which is apparently what Starbucks does. So in my blender, I am adding 9 large eggs and then 1.5 cups of cottage cheese and about a teaspoon of salt. And then I blended that up until it was completely smooth. You don't want any chunks of cottage cheese in there. Then I've already gone ahead and cooked up a package of bacon. You only need 6 slices because you're only going to use half a strip of bacon in each muffin. So I broke them in half and then put little pieces of bacon in each cup. And then I am using cheddar cheese because Aldi didn't have any Gruyere cheese. But to make this taste most like Starbucks, you would want to use Gruyere because their egg bites, I think one of the flavors is bacon and Gruyere. So this is the one that I'm supposed to be replicating, but I didn't have Gruyere, so we just did cheddar. So you put a little bit of shredded cheese in there, and then you're going to pour that egg and cottage cheese mixture over each muffin pan, filling them all evenly. Now, as I said before, the ones from Starbucks are steamed, so we're going to prepare a steam bath in our oven. I'm putting my bacon sheet in my oven on the bottom rack, and then I'm filling it with some boiling water from my kettle. That's the easiest way that I find to put a steam bath in the oven. And then I'm putting the muffin pan on the rack above that steam bath. And then these went in the oven. This is at 350 and they baked Mine took 35 minutes. The recipe said 25, but mine took 35. Not sure why they took so much longer to cook, but they were still super liquidy at 25 minutes, so I had to give them another 10 minutes. So once I removed them from the oven, then I just let them cool slightly before removing them from the muffin pan. And then these were like my breakfast for like days. I like put them in the fridge and they reheated great in the microwave. It just wasn't my favorite flavor and texture. I like cottage cheese, but I don't know how to describe the texture. They were very light and airy, and maybe that's what you like. But something about it I just did not like very much. Okay, now this last recipe is probably the best recipe in the whole video and something I will definitely be making again. This is a grits casserole, like a sausage and cheese grits casserole. And I found this on TikTok from everyone's fave TikTok mom. I will have her link down below. I love her. And this recipe came from her. So it's not my recipe. No credit to me for any of these recipes. I find all my recipes online. I'm starting off by just browning 1 pound of ground sausage. And then once that's fully cooked, I'm going to drain off the grease and set it to the side while I prepare my grits. So in a pot over like a medium-high heat, I am heating up 2 cups of water, 2 cups of milk, and then I'm adding about a tablespoon of butter and then some salt and pepper. And I'm just going to heat that up to almost boiling, not quite boiling, but almost boiling. Once that milk and water gets hot but not boiling, I added in my 1 cup of grits. And then I just continued to let that simmer for about 7 minutes until most of that liquid had been absorbed by the grits and the grits were basically done. And then I'm going to stir in 4 ounces of cream cheese. I am using some whipped cream cheese. It's just what I had in the fridge and I wanted to use it up, but you could just use a regular block of cream cheese. And I would take that out at the beginning so it could get a little bit soft and it'll melt easier. So I stirred that in, and then once it was melted, I also added in some shredded cheese. I think I grated up like an entire block of cheddar cheese and put about half of it in the grits and then the other half on top of the grits later. And then I also mixed in my sausage, and then once I had that all mixed in, I'm going to transfer this to a 9 by 13 inch baking dish that I have greased, spread it out evenly, top with my remaining cheddar cheese, and then this is going to go in the oven at 350 for 20 minutes. And here is what it looked like when it was done. This was delicious, like so delicious. We ate on this for like 2 or 3 days. It was a lot of food and it was really good. We just served it with some fruit on the side. I think we did grapes both days that we had it, and everyone loved it. Even Andy, who doesn't really like cream cheese, couldn't tell that there was cream cheese in it really. It just added a little bit of creaminess, but it was so good. If you try any of the recipes from this video, definitely try this one. It was our favorite and we will be making it again. But that is going to be it for this What's for Breakfast video. I hope that y'all enjoyed it. Let me know down below if you plan on trying any of these recipes, and I will see y'all in the next one. Bye!